Thank you for joining us for another live episode of Conversations with Michael. And a warm welcome to all of you. We are streaming live here from the beautiful but incredibly hot Willamette Valley of Oregon. So thank you again for joining us here today. Like all of you, I too am looking forward to hearing what Michael has to share today. And for those of you that are new to our work, welcome. Feel free to explore our website, check out all the different options that are available for all of you. Most of you know we're a little different from other spiritual teachings, and maybe that's why you're here. Ancient Wings actually came into being when I was acting as a conscious channel for Archangel Michael for almost, 30 years. But in 2012, Michael asked me if I was ready or willing to try something new. He asked me if I'd be willing to put channeling in the back seat and to move my natural state more to the front. And what he was describing was a multifaceted, multidimensional soul being. He believes that channeling, for the most part, has really served its purpose. It has played a vital and essential role for ages on this planet, allowing a variety of angelic voices to remind us of who we truly are. But now it was time for something different. It was time for all of us to reclaim our own voice as being angelic too. But now, as a human creator or a human master, I know that might be, for some of you, a little hard to swallow from the human perspective. So let's take a dive right into that. Michael has insisted that it was really important for all of us that have awakened to the presence of our soul to stop pretending we're not as magnificent or as grand as any other being, including himself. You know, Michael gets a lot of airplay on this planet. A lot of stories have been written about him, the vast majority of them without his permission. He believes it's time to stop playing small when our natural state is actually divine, free of any doubt, worry, or concern. Because from this part of us, we don't just hope, we know and fully accept that we are indeed creating our own experience. So for the last 12 years, with my soul, Kethra, and my oversoul, Michael, I've been openly sharing this relationship between these parts within me as an invitation to all of you to consider doing the same. That choice, however, dramatically changed our service to the teachings of Michael, which of course also impact the number of people that followed our work. But in hindsight, speaking for myself, it was one of the best choices I've ever made. But like a lot of you, it wasn't easy for my human self to accept this, to just be in receivership of all these free-flowing energies that support my soul, so as to now serve my soul as a partner. Who wants that? Where's the drama in that? So a lot had to change in my life in order to make this real. And we feel it's important to share what we're sharing here today with all of you, because we know that not every human being feels called to act as a conscious channel for a non-physical angelic being. But there are millions of people right now who are, however, feeling in their heart a call from their own soul. To do what? Well, for those of you that we have the honor of serving, to human up, to take ownership of what is being freely offered, to allow yourself to receive these free-flowing energies of support, and then to allow your own non-physical counterparts to also play a part inside of this physical reality. So that magical child that still lives inside of us, it doesn't have a problem with any of this. It's all thumbs up. But there are other parts of us, maybe a little more serious in nature, that have a really hard time accepting this. And our question to all of you is pretty simple. In fact, it's the same question Michael would ask me over and over again. Why is that your problem? Don't make it yours. And I know that's easier said than done. But the simple answer is that so few have or are doing this. So it's time for our divine presence to be present on this planet more than any other time, if indeed we truly want to play an essential part in helping this human family move out of where they are stuck, and they are really stuck. It's time to allow that identity to share its wisdom, to share its insights, and to hopefully to share a little humor. So in hindsight, it actually would have been a lot easier, at least for my human self, to just continue serving the teachings of Michael as a conscious channel. I'm certain we would have gotten a lot more clicks on our YouTube channel, even more so if Michael would have been willing, at least through me, to offer a variety of profound monthly predictions as that relates to social upheavals, political outcomes, or major earth changes. But that is not who we are, or who we are also serving. Like us, all of you want to be able to create your own safe space. You just need a little guidance as that relates to creating your own reality. And it's become my passion and joy to serve you with my human part, which has grown very comfortable playing the role it's playing right now, being of service to my soul and my oversoul. It is learned the hard way. Robert found out really quickly he just messes things up if he tries to filter the presence of my soul. But what it receives, what I receive in return from being in service, not as a servant, but as a partner, is a quality of love that, let's get real about that, is really unknown to most people. A love that has no agenda and doesn't need to be loved back to feel fulfilled. No disrespect to any relationship any of you might have right now where love is being shared. But this isn't something that I have personally experienced from another human being in this way. What I receive from my soul in Michael is unconditional. And each and every one of you, you also have the right to experience this too. In fact, from Michael's perspective, this is your birthright. So thank you again for joining us today. Today's episode is titled Talking About Our Freedom. And we'll dive right into that. But first, a quick announcement. Starting next month, Conversations with Michael will be moving to the first Saturday of every month at the same time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It represents a change whose time has come. And if any of you feel inspired to help support these free live streams, well, you're welcome to use the donate button right below the video on our website. We deeply appreciate all your support. Let's just take a moment to let all the energy start to settle in here. That includes Michael, of course, but as well, your own soul and oversoul are also here. Why is that? Well, that too is really simple. Are not all of you really tired of feeling connected one moment only to be disconnected the next? Are you tired of feeling separated from what is yours to receive for yourself? And if today is the day that puts an end to all of that, then your soul and its oversoul are just waiting for you to allow them to coexist with your human self. So the obvious question is, how do you do that? And if you've been following our work, you know that you don't do it. You can't do it. But you can stop whatever you are doing and start to allow what is yours to receive to be in your life. So the issue here isn't really about how to do that. It's more about, how do you allow it? Does your human self trust that it is safe to be in receivership of your soul by allowing it? When it has a long history of receiving a lot of things it never asked for. So we understand this represents a huge transition, one of those life-changing moments. Into what? Well, from my own experience, into your freedom. That's what we're talking about today, right? The freedom to create an unfiltered reality with your soul and for yourself. So we love sharing a new way of being human. We know that when you're feeling disconnected from your soul, well, it can be really, really confusing. Especially at this time, with so many energies moving in all directions. It can feel really unsettling. So the mind tends to step forward. If the presence of your soul isn't present, to help create a safe space based solely on its own perception of this physical reality. Which of course leads us to our next question. Using your own experience, your own past, with your mind, how is that going? Yeah, we know. It's frustrating, right? You might feel safe, allowing your mind to manage your life for you, but do you really feel free? That's what we're talking about here today. True freedom. Because your soul won't allow any part or any other being manage its experience of itself. So it's really incredible what all of us are now witnessing. not just from those that will embrace our approach. We're also witnessing from inside this human family an extreme pushback, the biggest pushback we've ever seen, from a variety of power players, programs, and institutions. And unfortunately, that is not ending anytime soon. Not everyone supports the freedom to live a soul-filled life. Why is that? Well, it's pretty simple. In a soul-filled life, you're no longer engaged in any of those games. Well, you're aware of them, but you don't share your energy with them. In a soul-filled life, you naturally attract to you all the support that you need, not from outside of you, but what you're attracting to you is your own energy. That has always been at the core of our teachings here. There is no or very little drama in a soul-filled life. There are no battles to fight. You no longer need to rely on whatever value others see in you. In practical terms, your soul perceives itself as being priceless. Your soul doesn't work by the hour. Bad news, right? For some of you, it sure was for me. It doesn't work by the hour. We're seeing how the whole employee-employer relationship is in the process of a major overhaul, in part as a reflection of how the light of your soul can inspire changes in all forms. All this is happening because of the value you're now willing to place on your own energy. That's one of the reasons we've been such strong advocates for being self-employed. For over 95% of my life, that's all I've ever known. But for that to be sustainable, at least from my perspective, you really need to clean up your inner reality. No more playing the victim, because there's no one to blame if you find yourself unable to pay your bills. We notice, however, for some of you, you've taken a very, let's say, passive approach to letting your own energy now support you. If you use that same approach while playing the role of an employee, well, more than likely, you're going to get fired. So shifting your attention to your inner reality, we're here to declare it can set you free. And one of the things I just love about Michael, he's really clear that he's not here to entertain you with countless stories. He prefers to just get to the core of matters. And if any of you need a little support to help you feel more confident about being self-employed, well, feel free to check out the Employ You video on our website. You can rent it there for 30 days. Let's take a deep breath. We're talking about your freedom. We know that it's your preference to experience the most intense transformation of all time. It's your preference that it unfolds gracefully. But we also know that it must first become a personal experience before it can shift to becoming a collective one. And over all these years, we have yet to witness, both in ourselves and with those that we have the honor of serving, a truly graceful, easy transition simply because we have relied on parts of our human self that for the most part are conditioned to perceive themselves as being separated from our divine nature, the very heart of our soul. So to now allow such a presence to be a part of this experience and to serve it from a place of honor and respect, that takes a lot of trust. That's not something our human self has an abundance of, trust. Instead, we've seen a lot of kicking and screaming from the human part. Why is that? Well, because it doesn't want to lose control of its own identity, even if it doesn't like who it is. And you wonder why so many of you feel so tired at times. There are just so many layers to this type of transformation while living alongside all of these power-based games, which have become the norm for most of humanity. We know that for some of you that are watching here today, these very games are being played out right in front of you, right where you live. We can't imagine how challenging that must be. Well, at the same time, it is your presence that offers so much hope. You wouldn't be where you are right now if your soul didn't want to incarnate where you also are living. Because the light of your soul can touch the hearts of so many people who have lost hope. So once again, this transformation represents a shift that must first manifest inside of all of us as individuals, which at first makes it appear to be, well, insignificant, at least as that relates to all the power players paying all these power games. But but eventually, the light that we reclaim for ourselves starts to share a subtle but very potent radiance. On that note, it starts to share a subtle but very potent radiance. But when it's combined now with a few thousand other fully awakened human beings, changes start to happen, big time. But what does that really mean? Fully awakened? Well, it simply refers to any human being whose human personality is willing to be of service, in service, as a partner to the dream of your soul. And we are just beginning to see the impact from that choice. So when it's no longer all about fulfilling the wants, the needs and desires of your human self, a major shift unfolds within you. And speaking for myself, my service to the dream of my soul and my oversoul simply could not be contained. Oh, I tried for years to manage it because I really didn't want to end up doing what we're doing right now. Streaming live on YouTube. My human self wanted to maintain a very private way of life, tucked away deep in the forest of the Oregon Coast Range. But the more I resisted allowing my soul and my oversoul to freely express themselves, the more I started to experience a lot of emotional and mental imbalances. And this is where I also see some of you. But it is everyone's birthright to experience your soul as a human being in a physical reality. If I had known at the time when Michael offered to change our service that it would eventually become what it is today, I freely admit there are parts of my human self that would have said, hell no, no thank you. So I'm not sharing any of this to pat myself on the back or toot my own horn. I'm sharing it because I can see and feel in a lot of you the same doubts, the same concerns my human self also entertained. But the price we pay when we turn our back and say no thank you, for me, that price was simply too high. If what we're really talking about here today is truly our freedom, isn't that why we're here on this planet? To experience how it would feel to be truly free. None of you that are here today are strangers to that word. Together, we have a long and cherished history that includes, on and off of this planet, countless battles, all in the name of this thing called freedom. But for whatever reason, no matter how many times we fought, the battles never seemed to end. There was always another cause, another fight that must be fought in the name of freedom. So Michael invited us to do something that's really hard to do, to lay down the sword. And most of us did. But then what? Are we not just exposing ourselves to more abuse and disrespect, now without the ability to fight back? You know, it took me a while to fully understand and accept the natural state of our divine nature and its impact on feeling safe, its impact on the battle that was going on inside of me. But if all we're doing is perceiving life through the eyes of a very conflicted part of ourselves, then where is the joy? Where is the compassion? Where is the love? Where is the trust? Where is this precious thing called freedom, which begins to reveal itself when you do allow the dream of your soul to reveal itself? You begin to experience such an elevated state of consciousness that to these conflicted parts of our human self, they might appear to be surreal, so far removed from what we have accepted as being normal. But the truth, all of us know, is really, really simple. Battle in the form of this thing we call war is not normal. It reveals a deep wound inside the hearts and mind of those that enjoy initiating such things. So we're faced with a very awkward choice. To accept what the collective consciousness on this planet declares is real and labels that as being normal, or you look for alternatives, right? And if indeed this thing called our divine nature is real, when does it show itself as being just as tangible as the battles themselves? And all of you here today know the answer to that question in your own heart. You can feel that something inside of you wants more than anything to come forward. To do what? To express itself so as to make it real. And for those of you that have allowed such a presence to be present, your light is having an incredible impact on the collective consciousness on this planet. It is revealing itself in the hearts and minds of millions of people as we speak. It is calling any of you that resonate with our message today to do what? To stop. To step out of your thinking process that doesn't recognize your true worth and value to this world as being a magnificent creator in your own right. We know we keep repeating this invitation over and over again, but we also know it's just a matter of time before you just break down and finally allow yourself to experience it. We're not here to entertain you with new stories. We're here to remind you of who you truly are. This, my friends, is not the time to play small, nor is it the time to play the warrior. Most of you are so exhausted, you couldn't even pick up a sword even if you wanted to. It is time to love yourself as you have never loved before, by allowing yourself to be so vulnerable, to receive the radiance of your soul's love that it feels for itself, to receive the radiance of your soul's love that it feels for itself. That alone helps to create the trust that has been missing all these lifetimes. But then, is your human self willing to serve such a presence? Instead of your life being all about me, all about its own wants, needs, and desires. If any of those desires really could offer a long-term sense of satisfaction, they would have by now. So the battle that your human self has initiated between itself and your soul represents a fight for its own survival. It doesn't know a state of consciousness that knows that all is well. All is well. But once again, why are you making this your problem? So my friends, are we done with the games? Are we done with pretending that your divinity doesn't even exist? Allow it to exist. Not from faith alone, but as a tangible physical experience, so that your human self can now serve it as a partner, not as a servant, not as a slave, but as a partner who now receives from your soul what was missing for most of your life. Indeed, very good. Thank you, Robert. That was quite good. You and Kethra were doing a magnificent job. And thank you for allowing me now to step forward. It is indeed I, Michael. My friends, this is the lifetime, and this is the time right now to allow your divine nature to reveal itself. This is the lifetime, and this is the year that all of you have been waiting for. Oh, it has been called many things. We call it the second coming of Christ consciousness. And just because the majority of those that are now open to experiencing such a presence just happen to also be women, it's not your problem if that is perceived to be a problem for anybody else by a variety of human beings, by a variety of institutions. This isn't about gender. But if we were to label the original self, it certainly appears to us to be more female than male. And we know full well that that statement doesn't go over very well for some people. And because it doesn't, we can also feel the battle cries. But there are more fully awakened human beings on this planet than ever before. Not as spiritual warriors. That represents the old way. But as conscious creators. They don't do battle. Instead, they create realities that are a reflection of their own divinity. And what is emerging on this planet is a return to your natural state, which isn't conflicted about who it is. It is divine. These next 2 decades will be a little uncomfortable for all of you, no matter where you're at or where you live. No matter what your perspective might be on any of these matters. But the good news, the energy is moving. And it can't be managed or controlled. And for those of you that think from your heart, you have a lot to look forward to. By the end of this decade, the very ideas that fill your heart with joy, they will be embraced and welcomed. Because it will be obvious that the old way of being human no longer works. And for those of you that are a little obsessed with ETs, a word of advice. Who is leading whom here? If any non-physical being wants to be at the cutting edge of a dramatic change in all of creation, they would be here too, in a physical body with you. And yes, to the one who is asking, that does indeed include the Pleiadians, who are not what they have represented themselves to be, who will have to earn the trust they feel they deserve from other beings before we can declare them as being trustworthy. No more games. Applies to all beings. And if there indeed is any being that is greater than yourself, then show yourself. Then show yourself. I, Michael, am equal to all of you, no matter what story you might have read about me. The only difference between you and me, I failed at playing the part in this cosmic game that so many of you are playing, a game called Let's Pretend We're Not the Original Self. I failed miserably. I chose instead to embrace my own divinity. And I am here once again asking all of you, is this your time to stop playing that game? Are you not feeling like it's become a complete waste of your time and energy, when the gift of creation already lies waiting inside of you? It was freely given to you with no conditions or agendas attached to it, simply to be acknowledged and then allowed to come forward. But once it does come forward, embrace it as being priceless, so as not to get distracted by your thinking process. Whatever your story is, my friends, all is forgiven. Are you now ready to live the dream of your soul? It's a dream that is unfolding alongside a nightmare that all of you inherited. Take a moment here to feel into that statement. And take another deep breath. All of you can feel right now this subtle, soul-filled presence asking your human self a very simple and direct question. Is this a good time to allow me to experience my dream? Is this a good time to make this dream real? To stay true to the dream as a conscious creator of your own experience? Such a dream is unique to every single one of you. Your soul is infused with such a dream. Do you remember it? Imagine being this divine, pure, and innocent presence, simply wanting to experience what? You don't have to figure it out. It's not complicated, my friends. It wants to experience itself as being human too, as you. Now, are you ready to walk away from what keeps you feeling separated from such a presence? To reclaim your magnificence as a conscious creator? And as we turn the page with your service to this human family, there no longer is a call for more channelers. Some of you that are watching this episode, you're beginning to feel it's a little more difficult to tune into my energy. My presence is Michael. You haven't done anything wrong. I still love you very much. But it's time for the human creator to step forward, carrying your multifaceted nature with you. It is the voice of your soul with its human counterpart that you and humanity yearn to hear. And for the most part, more than willing to accept. Earth and the family of humanity is waiting to experience the radiance of your light. Is now that time for some of you. We know this planet has more problems that need to be addressed than you could count. But the solutions do not exist inside what has been known to you and what created them. Your light serves to awaken and inspire the hearts and minds of every single human being, to help them feel their own creativity, their own intuitive abilities, My support and guidance will continue for as long as you choose to experience yourself in the human form. But just as so many of you have discovered, there are many versions of yourself existing in a variety of different realms. There are also now different versions of Earth that await you when you leave this planet, if that is your choice. Versions that are not conflicted and honor the presence of nature as being sacred. Take another deep breath. So as we bring this session to a close, we want to thank you for blessing this planet with your presence at this time. It's such an honor for me to be of service to the new creators. Indeed. Until we meet again, take care of yourself and be well.